NASA spacecraft sets up a remarkable feat by touching the Sun for the first time. Hello and welcome back to our channel TechZone. Recently, the spacecraft by NASA touched the brightest star, the Sun, and it's a monumental moment for solar science and NASA. Let's find out more about this. So without further ado, let's dive into this video. The NASA spacecraft Parker Solar Probe officially touches the Sun after entering the untested atmosphere known as the corona, just over 8 million miles from the star's center. It flew into the Sun's upper atmosphere with sample particles and magnets there. What is the Parker Solar Probe? The only spacecraft launched by the American Space Shuttle NASA, the Parker Solar Probe was launched in August 2018 on a dangerous voyage to the Sun, the closest star to Earth. The average distance between Earth and the Sun is close to 150 million kilometers. The average distance because the Earth's orbit around the Sun is not a complete circle, but an ellipse, and the oval path taken by our planet means that the actual distance from the star is not, and so on. To reach the Sun, the Parker probe must rely on Venus's gravitational force and will be completing 7 flybys in about 7 years to gradually bring its orbit around the Sun. The spacecraft is flying at a very impressive speed of 690,000 kmph, and if it gets too close to the Sun, it might damage the Sun. How is this possible? The upper atmosphere of the Sun is about 2 million degrees Fahrenheit. It's almost impossible to reach there, but NASA proved us wrong. NASA says that although it has been trying to get closer to the Sun for more than 60 years, the need to send a spacecraft at more than 1 million temperatures, which is how the corona is called. The Parker probe uses a 4.5-inch compact carbon shield that ensures that if the front of the plane reaches a temperature of about 1,400 degrees Celsius as it approaches the Sun, its interior will remain almost the same as the room temperature. Did it really touch the surface of the Sun? As Thomas Urbachan of NASA put it, the so-called touch of the Sun needs to be explained, since the Sun is not as solid as the Earth. But the reason why the space agency says Parker's investigation was done. Sun contact. This phenomenon occurred in April this year, but scientists can only confirm after researching the data that sample particles are not part of the supersonic solar system, but are moving slowly. The moving solar system itself. To make it easier, even though it does not have a solid surface, the Sun has an invisible boundary where the Sun's elements stop sticking to the Sun, and instead are free to separate from its source and escape outside, something known. 3 years after the launch, the investigation results flew in the upper atmosphere of the Sun or corona to explore its photosphere or outer envelope. On April 28, as it pursued its 8th solar eclipse, the Parker probe reached a distance of 8 million miles, 13 million kilometers, from the Sun's surface, and it finally entered the solar system for the first time. What was the information collected from it after touching the Sun? It's truly a remarkable phenomenon to see the Parker Solar Probe touching the Sun. As it orbits near the Sun's surface, Parker discovers new objects that some of the planets have long been obscure, including from the interior of the solar system, the flow of particles from the Sun that can affect Earth. In the year 2019, Parker discovered some magnetic structures. They were zigzag in shape. They were found in our solar system and are called switchbacks. Many of these are present near the Sun, the first episode that cuts across the corona, and the promise of many flies to come. We'll continue to provide information about events that could not be read far away. The plane is close to the Sun. The Parker Solar Probe is now experiencing conditions in a space controlled by the Sun's magnetic field, the corona, that we have never known before, said Nurey Ufi, a Parker project scientist at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. How will the mission help? The solar matter that escapes the surface of the Sun and can cross the alphabet of Alphen is responsible for the Sun's magnetic field and is known as the solar wind, which travels at a speed of 1 million miles an hour and is part of the so-called a climate system that affects all the planets, and our solar system is a planet. Scientists say that much of this explosion from the Sun's surface may reach as far as the Earth's surface, and even more so, it is known to disrupt calls and satellites that support vital communication systems. Knowing how these solar eclipses are created and fleeing the sun can show us strategies for better preparation against such events. NASA has said that discovering the Parker Solar Probe inside the corona will allow scientists to understand many mysteries. But the most useful information would be in the form of indications as to how solar flares accelerate the particles into such potentially dangerous forces in space and space technology. Knowing this will help to protect artificial satellites and to protect synthetic particles. Astronauts face exposure to harmful radiation during a space shuttle exploring the Moon and Mars. So, what were your thoughts on this mind-blowing achievement by NASA? Comment down below and let us know. Until the next video, stay tuned and subscribe for more.